Hello peoples, welcome to my first review. First, what I'm going to do is the brand new from Marvel Studios Thor, directed by Kenneth Brannagh and starring Christopher Helmsworth and Natalie Portman. Okay, so the film's called Thor, so let's take a look at our Thor. Everybody knows Thor as our Norse god of thunder. Every Viking on the planet used to bow down and pray to him at one point. Now you're going to have somebody with a bit of gravitas and a bit of muscle behind him. And I think we've got an absolutely perfect guy in Chris Helmsworth. Myself, I remember seeing early press releases and rumours and that sort of thing, saying that they were talking to people like Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt. Can you imagine such hell? Okay, him kissing on with Natalie Portman on screen, it's not going to do it for me. Now you've got to remember that Natalie Portman was cast pretty much like that. You've got to look into that sort of thing. So I'm really pleased that they didn't follow up on all of these rumours and they decided to go for a lesser known person. And I tell you what, this man does a brilliant job. Chris Hemsworth needs a round of applause, I reckon. Because for me, he's taking a lot of really deep-seated mythology and a lot of comical, humorous and light-hearted, punchy comic book action, and he's blending them together absolutely perfect. Okay, love interests. You've got Jane Foster in her comic books. Now, early Jane Foster in the comic books was really timid and giggly and girly and shy. Yes, she was a doctor and had an interest in physics and that sort of thing. So she did have to have a brain on that, but all in all she was a young girl. She was very, very easily led astray and that sort of thing. But it's this era of Jane that I think Natalie Portman expresses wonderfully. In the new reboot version set after Marvel explored the Ragnarok period and the end of Asgard, she seemed to get a lot stronger and a bit more savvy and sassy and sexy. But I think Natalie Portman, who is a very, very sexy woman, very beautiful woman, I think she plays on the young, impressionable youth character very, very well. Her on-screen chemistry with Chris Hemsworth is palpable. It's wonderful stuff. Now Anthony Hopkins as Odin, my God. I've always seen Odin, the All-Father, to be very wise and eternal. If anybody's going to pull that off on screen, it's Anthony Hopkins. Now that's one thing I've been very, very happy about with this movie. Iron Man slipped up in many cases because it was basically a precursor to the Avengers movie. It wasn't an Iron Man movie, it was a prologue almost for the Avengers. I mean, it was basically like Iron Man had his little things going on, like, oh, I've got the problem with my heart, I've got this thing in my chest. Oh yes, that's very interesting, but did you hear that Nick Fury's around looking for people for the Avengers? And then, you know, the thing in my chest just so happens to be keeping me alive, but it's also killing me at the same time. What am I going to do? I'm getting blood poisoning and I'm fighting for my life. Enough about that. We know about your arc reactor. But hey, isn't that Captain America's shield? You know, from the Avengers. And then of course I've got the drinking problem and all that sort of alcoholism, eh? You might not be suitable for the Avengers. I just got sick, you know, it just went on and on and on. Now there's nods in this, including, like I say, Samuel L. Jackson. You've got Agent Coulson, who appeared in both Iron Man films as, you know, an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., which will obviously play a big part in the Avengers. And you also have Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye. Now he's only on screen for about 4 minutes, but I have a lot of time for Jeremy Renner. I think he's an awesome, awesome actor. I think he gives a lot of attitude to Clint Barton or Hawkeye. And he got me very excited for the Avengers movie. But then left the screen and bang, you were back in with Thor. That was what you were concentrating on. That was the movie that was getting made. And they did it wonderfully. Don't get me wrong, I've gushed about this movie. But I'm not going to lie to you, it's very close to being perfect. There's a couple of things I don't like about it. For example, Kat Dennings, I'm not a fan, and putting her in as Darcy Lewis, the young intern, as part of the science team with Stellan Skarsgård and Natalie Portman. She's a weak link. She's annoying. She's there for the emo kids, and she just gets on my nerves, unfortunately, and I don't like seeing her on screen. She seems to think she's hilarious, and she hams it up. So I would take her out. Stellan Skarsgård's great, does the job wonderfully, has nice little comic moments with Thor. The destroyer armour could have been used slightly better. The CG is exquisite. The 3D I cannot praise enough. If you've got the money to go and see it in IMAX, go and see it in IMAX. Chris Helmsworth, absolutely perfect. Anthony Hopkins, perfect. Jane Foster, perfectly portrayed by Natalie Portman. I'm going to give this film a solid 9.5 out of 10. Well, that's it for me for this time. If you want to stick around and maybe subscribe onto the blog, by all means do. It'd be great to have you on board. And I'll see you soon for another review of what I've been seeing at the pictures. Take care.